Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of That Show That Will Not Be Named. Today, it's not a serious video, not really talking about anything in general. It's just one of those videos where you can kind of sit back, relax, and listen while you're, I don't know, studying, doing a test, trying to go to sleep. While I sit here and just try to think of topics to talk about because we are human and there is absolutely no shortage of shit to talk about. For instance, I just watched a video in which a water clone of Mary Jane dies while Spider-Man goes like, no, and screams something to that effect. And the video is entitled Peter Parker, Spider-Man's Blood-Curdling Scream. And I clicked on it out of basic, human interest. And the scene did not disappoint, I must say. I gotta say, too. Really glad to have gotten this new phone. It's the, what do you call it? I probably mentioned it before in one of the other videos. I was gonna say an episode. But it's the Galaxy S21, which was a whole big fucking pain in the ass trying to get a hold of this thing, because my last phone just straight up and died on me. There's really nothing I could do about it. And essentially, what ended up happening was like, I don't know, I went to Best Buy one morning, and I was on a family plan with my parents and my brothers. And basically, since I'm 26 and I'm coming off of the insurance next year when I turn 20, well, next year when I turn 26, 25 now, I'm coming off the insurance. And basically, I just need to start paying for my own shit, essentially weaning myself away from my family. So, first step of that was obviously getting on my own phone plan, doing my own thing. And, yeah. So I went one morning, but unfortunately I couldn't access my phone plan or any of that shit because my mother is the holder of the keys, keeper of the keys on that account. So it was a whole big headache trying to get her. They needed her okay for me to go in and do anything and separate from the plan that we were on, and it was a whole big thing. But long story short, I ended up having to wait like a week and a half for them to actually ship the Galaxy S21 to my local Best Buy, and then I went and got it. Uh, it was all right, I guess. Uh, it was so weird because at the same time I had recently started working once again at my local ShopRite, and I'm just doing produce. It's simple enough, and that's a whole song and dance story in and of itself. But the long and the short of it is that I went through a whole week there. Sorry for the yawn. I went through a whole week and a half at that ShopRite, no phone, and I don't know how the hell I did it, because that's one of those jobs where like you need to just like sneak away for like 2 seconds and just to check the time, just to remind yourself, time is a thing. It is a concept. Just to give yourself a gist, so you just don't get lost in the drudge of bringing apples and pears and oranges and all this shit back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But yeah, we're real glad to have the phone. Honestly, I can't tell you how happy I am to finally be able to, talk into something, to be able to write, because, I mean, not being able to write, that straight up just drives me stir crazy. I do feel somewhat sad, mainly because if you've watched my channel in the past, I'm a writer. I've been writing ever since high school, and I never write like on paper, which is probably a good idea because electronics can get wiped out. But essentially, I always suffer from the problem of having notes. The notes on my phone are always, filled to the brim. I always have thousands upon thousands of different little, I'm not sure if you'd call them files, but so many documents. So many documents open with story ideas, short stories written, some of them had novellas in them, yada yada. And if I had a nickel for every time a story or a really good concept was just lost when a phone died, I'd be a very rich man. Um, as for stuff that's going on recently, I finished a kid's book. Although, here's the funny part, I'm not sure if I would call it a kid's book. Um, I polished off the rest of it tonight, actually. I had to finish a couple things for it. I had to add like 2 more pages. Actually, 3 more pages, just because I was trying to even out the page numbers. But yeah, I wrote a kid's book. It's called Mystery Man. It's about this silhouetted character, and to be honest, the whole reason I'm making the book in the first place is just to pitch the concept as like a cartoon, kind of like what they did with Shrek. When Shrek was its own thing and it was a book, and then they went and they turned it into that fantastic movie series. To this day, I think Shrek 2 is probably the greatest movie ever. I've probably gone into detail about that before. It essentially never misses a beat. The whole movie just leads you through one constant stream of incredible. I don't think there's a single dull moment in that whole movie. I'm invested from the second it gets turned on. Um, but no, back to it. Yeah, I wrote this. So I wrote this. I guess you'd call it a picture book rather than a kid's book, because I wouldn't say that any of the imagery in it is like inappropriate or bad or scary. Well, it may be scary. I don't know, because the what do you call it? The main character, Mystery Man. He's got those evil eyes, man. He always looks like he's angry. He doesn't have a nose. Doesn't have a well. He has a mouth that you see sometimes, but unless I actually show you the book, you know, I don't think you'll really get what I'm talking about. But essentially, yeah, I finished this book, and we're on to the hardest part now, trying to find an agent, literary agent, who would find it interesting, be interested in picking me up, and that's always the fun part. Uh, been doing writing for about, I'm gonna say, 9 years now, and still no agent. Nobody. Nobody gonna touch me with a 10-foot pole. Um, Not to mention, I don't know what it is. I kind of find agents to be a pain in the fucking ass to find. Even just being able to contact them, I feel like it's not like readily available. There was this, what is it? There's actually a publisher, not a publisher, a literary agent who actually lives literally down the block from me. Unfortunately, I think she always has like her own like set of like 50 clients, and like that's it. That's all she represents. I've tried contacting her in the past, but what she represents and what I write just don't clash. I write short stories, I write novellas, I write, fantasy stuff. And the problem with fantasy stuff is all my fantasy shit is like short. It's not long. And the problem is every fucking time I talk to either a publisher or an agent who does fantasy, they're like, no, 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 we want the next Harry Potter. We want the next Harry Potter with the really thick books, really thick books. And it's in that light that, in my humble opinion, I think fucking J.K. Rowling kind of fucking ruined fantasy. Because now every asshole I talk to he basically just wants to be the next Brandon Sanderson. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write a book series. My books are gonna be able to stop bullets. They're gonna be so thick. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Just write a good story. Jesus Christ. It doesn't need to be bigger than the fucking Bible. Just come on. So that's super annoying. And it is for that reason and that reason alone that I don't think any of my fantasy shit will ever get published. But, it's whatever. I'm really just racking on being famous when I'm dead. It's That's definitely how I think it's gonna go. I think I'm gonna die and then I'm gonna get fished up, like I don't know, maybe a decade later. But back to the point I was on. Yeah, basically just trying to find an agent for this kids book that I wrote. And I say kids book, like I said, I say kids book very loosely because it's more of a picture book. And the reading in it isn't super difficult, but it's not super. I guess it's not super easy. I used the word mysterious in it like fucking 200 times. I mean, that's the theme. The whole theme of the book is that it's supposed to be about not knowing what is not known. That's like it's the essence of it. Um, and the mystery man is supposed to represent this absolute fabric of, you know, shit you don't know, shit you can't know. It's just supposed to represent. He represents the unknown, and the book is basically an introduction. Like it's not the book that I wrote. I wouldn't say it's like a linear type book. It's very what's the word? It's more like an introduction to a character. It's like imagine a book talking about SpongeBob, who he is, where he works, what he does, yada yada. It's one of those. It's not a Jimmy went to the store, then Jimmy did this, then Jimmy took a shit, then Jimmy looked at his shit and thought it was good. Like it's not one of those Nuffle Bunny. Basically, it's not Nuffle Bunny. Is the best way that I could describe it. Um, but I don't know. For me personally, I feel very confident. It took me a fucking while to make it, and I was actually very surprised because Mystery Man was the first book. First of all, the first picture book I had ever actually fully attempted to do, and the first one I actually finished. And I was very proud of myself by the end of it. I was just extremely impressed. I did not expect it to actually get done, just because I'm a terrible procrastinator. Um, but if this ends up being, the course that I go and I end up making kids' books for a living, I mean, I guess that's okay. Um, it's fun. I think it's more, for me especially, it's more fun to write it than it is to uh, draw it. Even though I love drawing, the main thing I want to do with drawing is I would like to work on logos and ads and stuff like that. Same thing in drawing. I'd like to do like, I don't know, character designs or design shit for video games. Be a concept artist. The only problem is I'm not one of those concept artists who like sculpts shit or does 3D designs. Like I'm more of a, what do you call it? More of like a, I guess you could say, an early 2000s concept artist, where I just doodle like a motherfucker and create like spreadsheets of just like, hey, this is what the level will look like in a cartoony fashion. You ever see what is it? You ever see Pac-Man World 2 um concept art? That's the kind of shit I do. If you ever look that up, you could look that up on YouTube now. I'm pretty sure they got videos up. I know they do. Speaking of which, there's going to be a new Pac-Man game coming out. Apparently, I think it's a indie game or whatever the shit people are making it. I love how basically the industry now is just like we're all pulling. Everyone's just pulling a Thanos. Like, I waited too long for you to make this. Now I'm just gonna do it myself because you're just sitting on your fucking thumbs. Honestly, I think we should get a. I would love a Pac-Man World like 4. Spooky's Revenge. I think that'd be really cool. Just because I'm a nostalgic whore for Pac-Man World 2. Not even Pac-Man World 3. I thought Pac-Man World 3 was boring as shit. Pac-Man World 3 was just trying to be fucking Ratchet and Clank. Like, it was just trying to be, what is it? I was watching a guy somewhere on YouTube, and he brought up a very good point. He's like, why were all these fucking cartoony video games from, like, the 2000s? Why did they all have a villain that was, like, a really gross fucking, like, alien scientist guy? Like, that was a big fucking thing. And then I looked back, and I'm like, oh my god. Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Dexter, Pac-Man World 2, Psychonauts, and Crash Bandicoot, all this shit. They all kind of have the same looking bad guy. I mean, it's probably wrong in like one or two of those things. It's a very blanket statement, but it's true. If you go back and you look at this shit, like, I remember the bad guy from fucking Pac-Man World 3. It was so unmemorable. But, yeah. But they're making, yeah. Like I said, though, they're making a new uh, Pac-Man game. Fans are making it. Looks really good. They have the demo on YouTube. You could go and look that up. I'm not sure what it's called, but Pac-Man's something or other. But it's like them walking around, running around doing like the powers. I think he has the Rev-Roll. I know he has the butt bounce in this. I don't know if they incorporated the Rev-Roll into this indie game, or this fan game, I should say. Uh, but I don't know. Looks kind of cool. In other news, the new season of American Horror Story happened. Been watching that. That's pretty good. I really wish. Oh, that's right. The new episode of Death Valley, or should I say, the first episode of Death Valley, hit a day or two ago. Because Horror Story, I'm actually very surprised this season. They're like, oh, we're going to do a double feature. First half of the series is going to be Red Tide. Second half is going to be Death Valley. And I really hope they connect, the aliens with the first half of the series. I think that'd be really cool. I'd hate for it to be two completely separate, unconnected things. I think that'd be kind of dumb. So, yeah. And then on top of that, of course, What We Do in the Shadows got their new season. That's good. It's so weird. It's kind of weird though, because like What We Do in the Shadows, I don't know. I feel like it hits different now. It's just kind of we're settled into the characters, and now it's just, what it is. It's kind of like how I felt tonight, because tonight my buddies came over and we watched the pilot episode of Seinfeld. Now, I've seen Seinfeld before, but I've never seen the pilot. And watching the pilot and comparing it to the rest of the series, George Costanza is like way more intelligent and confident and practical in the first episode. And then I noticed the rest of the series he's a doofus. That's what I notice, or I got the feeling about with What We Do in the Shadows. I feel like I watch an episode now compared to an episode from season 1, and the characters have, like, I guess you could say they've come into their own, but it just feels like oddly unfamiliar. Where it's like, oh wow, this character doesn't say shit, just doesn't say certain things anymore. They just say what you would think they would say because that's their character. I'm not sure if I like it or I don't like it. I mean, the show is fucking hilarious, but I don't know. I feel like I'm expecting something more out of it, and more just doesn't happen. Um, Not sure how to explain what my gripe with what we do in the shadows is right now. Um, I know what's his name, Watiki, Watiki Watalan. I'm so fucking sorry for butchering that his name. The dude who played the giant rock guy in Ragnarok, who directed fucking What We Do in the Shadows. Uh, he's making something. Oh, what was he doing? He wanted to make some fucking movie. He was taking something and he's gonna like do a redo of it. And I was like, all right, it's a hard swallow, but why not? And I forgot what it was completely. And my fucking computer, Jesus Christ. You see what I mean? This shit just fucking turns on because my fridge is plugged into the wall. And whenever my fridge turns on, that turns on, and it's a whole fucking thing. Hence why I have the chair right there to uh, to block it, so it's not hit me in the face. Hmm. But yeah, where the fuck was I? Oh, so yeah, Watiki Watalan, Wakiki, blah 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 blah. Complicated name. No, it's probably a very easy name. I'm too fucking tired. Um, yeah, he's gonna be working on something that seemed pretty interesting. I may make a video on that. I may actually come back to that subject on another video. We shall see. Uh, yeah, and then of course we also have the new Cowboy Bebop live action coming out. I recently watched the trailer for that of the what is it? It's the intro song. And me personally, I thought it looked fucking amazing. I actually really liked it. It's so funny when it's just like showing you villains and you can absolutely point out who the villains and which characters are who in the show. Like it is like I was beside myself, absolutely beside myself. Um, so yeah, I hope the series really takes off. I hope it does well. Hope we get more seasons. It would be really interesting if this show does something different with the whole Spike versus Vicious thing. We'll see what it does. I mean, for the time being, it looks like it's basically just a copy to copy, um, note for note copy of the anime. Which, even if it's that, I don't give a shit. It's fine. All I'm saying is that first scene of the live action better fucking be the whole, you know, bell peppers and beef scene. It has to. Um, if it doesn't start off like that, if the whole show doesn't kick off like that, I don't know. I don't know how much confidence I'm gonna have in it. Not sure if I'm gonna be able to get behind it. But like the Jin of Rummy once said, "We shall see what we shall see." Oh wait, it wasn't the Jin of Rummy that said that. It was Mo that said that. Yeah, probably. It's that's from what is it? One of my favorite, and also one of the most fucking annoying Three Stooges skits I have ever seen. Probably also one of the only Three Stooges skits I've ever seen because I don't watch the Three Stooges that much. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I wasted a lot of time tonight. I want to sleep. And yeah, I think I will. The only thing is, I'd like for this to actually go up to like at least 24 minutes, so I guess I'll just linger a little bit more. I got like another fucking 10 seconds popping up. But yeah, um, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. Thank you for sticking with me through this ramble of random. I don't know. What's a word that begins with R and stands for like stuff? It's a synonym for just like unconnected subjects. I don't know. Either way, good night.